nice magic. Oh my god. Oh, greetings, programs. Nice to see you again, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Dragons. As always, up to our usual shenanigans here. Learning how to play D&D mo better than you used to. Well, hell, maybe you already play it so damn good there's nothing left to learn, but for a knucklehead like me, it is a constant learning experience. Whew, so what's this episode about again? Oh yeah, required reading. Now, I don't think that's the right title for this because I don't know if I can fully recommend any of the stuff we're about to talk about. But you know me, Hankering Furnail here, always on a quest to be the best dungeon master that I can be. So it's all about filling the old noggin with reference on rules variations, world settings, monster treatments, and other game design errata. Okay, doing research on game systems to make your D&D 5th edition game mo better. That's what this video is about. So, after hooking up with Marca del Este in Spain and being very intrigued with how that material was being treated, well, there's no real way to package this very well. I went in on a bit of a spending binge on books just to try to get some more awesome context of how to get our game to have the maximum awesome. So let's just go through them. I think I got 4 things to review. Let's get into it. Hello! We didn't put a ton of work into the title of our book. We just went for basic description because we called it Basic Fantasy. Now, I've been hearing about some people playing this game. There are source books for this game, you know, settings and campaigns and adventures and stuff like this. Get this book. This book is basically D&D garden variety. So it's mostly, I would say, late 3rd edition, but with a lot of the complexity stripped away and a lot of the special ruling stuff stripped away from more specific situations. It's got some pretty crummy monster entries, but the art in this book is freaking genius. You have got to get this book for the art. I'm not even going to show you the inside of this book because the art is so cool you just have to buy the damn book. These are just like some guys with some micro pens that did this stuff, and it is brilliant. It really reminds you of why you got into this in the first place. Now, these guys did a great job capturing the vintage retro feel of old school D&D, and I gotta hand it to them on that. Like, it's awesome. This is a really good book. If you're kind of tired of all the version changes and edition changes in D&D and you really just want to play that classic feel of D&D, get this book. Now, if you don't want to play this rule set and this monster set, you want to play 5th edition like we do, still get the damn book because there's some nice abbreviations of complex rules in here that are really handy for shorthand. So this is something I'm always talking about. It's like, you want to be a good dungeon master, don't get tangled up in all the little pages where everything is kept and adding the experience value to calculate the challenge rating to make sure that, no, you've got to shuck and jive a little bit. The places you can't improvise or fake it, dice rolls is the #1. You gotta let your players see every dice roll unless the secrecy tells the story. The second place you can't muck around is player progression. You don't either over or under progress your players. Let them know their systems, let them know their player's handbook and go by the book and have fun and learn the game. If you mix it up too much, like the DM starts controlling their progression, that can remove a lot of the predictability of character growth and can undermine the trust between the player and the DM. You can invent monsters, invent encounters, you can adjust difficulties levels on the fly. As long as it's out in the open, just tell your players, hey you guys, this is a young purple worm, or like I'm nerfing the swallow mechanic on this thing because you guys will never survive it. Is the table okay with a little bit of a nerf? Here's how the nerf is going to be. I think everyone appreciates that level of openness. So let's say you have that going on, get this book, and this will help you make some of the abbreviations to the game that can be really handy to keep the game moving fast. If you're playing 5th edition, guys, all you're really doing is replacing modifiers and penalties and stuff like that with advantage and disadvantage. That is the key to 5th edition. There's some other stuff in 5th edition that's cool, but honestly, No, you don't need a lot of it. Another great thing, I think there's like 4 character classes in here. Fighter, cleric, thief, magic user. Really, really good thinking. This puts more burden on the player to create an interesting character than getting into a lot of rules variations, and I think it's super smart. So get into this book and take a look. It's really awesome. It's cheap. I don't know, this book was like 12 bucks or something, if even that. Really well done, and just no attitude in this book, which I also love. That's kind of a sublime comment, but really cool. Now, okay, yeah, fine. That's enough for basic fantasy. This book, woo! This is Legend, which is from Studio Publishing, Mongoose Publishing. Why would you put 2 different things on the back? Whatever, that's not the point of the video. Legend has a really nice presentation from the outside. It's got a sort of a serious tone. And then when you look through the book, you're like, ooh, the watermark is very impressive. The art is actually pretty damn cool. It's a little grayscale-y, photoshoppy, but I think there's like 3 or 4 artists that play, and one of them is just brilliant in here. The other one's a little photoshoppy feeling. But there's not much art. You can tell they either didn't have a budget or they relied on some friends or something, but some of these pieces are really cool. Anyways, it's got a great presentation to it, but you guys, this is just RuneQuest. This is just a bunch of tables, percentile dice, and like hit points per body locations and stuff, and lots of skills, and I don't know. If you're into all this stuff, good luck, but I was never really into RuneQuest. It seemed a little derivative from Middle-earth role-playing back in the 80s, but without all the flavor and the awesome. And you know, it's one of these games where it kind of has the terminology of D&D, but it kind of doesn't, so you're constantly getting a little foiboizled. Another one is they have a stat called size, and like, I think you're dead when your size reaches 0, which is like, so each time you're hitting me, am I shrinking? Sorry, Studio Publishing, Mongoose Publishing, I cannot recommend people buy this book. We've got, boy, this is the good stuff right here. This is, what y'all know about this? Dungeon Crawl Classics. Boom! This module is called the Change Coffin. What's great about these boxed sets is it feels like a module, like a thing. I don't just get one packet or one book. I get a sweet, awesome colored book. I get, let's see here, I get a map, not just of the dungeon, but of the entire like campaign space, with hexes and everything, so you can measure travel time, really fun. Then I get, what is this? This is a follow-up. So this is more like details to give it life if your characters make a whole like set of journeys out of this. Next, I have the Level 0 adventure, which can introduce you to the campaign. And then I have this, which is another source book about the mountains where the traveling happens. But this one is super funny. And then I also have a Level 3 adventure. The color one's a Level 5. So they give you 3 adventures so that you can really make a campaign out of this, a mini campaign. And their maps, my God, have you guys seen Dungeon Crawl Classics? Their maps are so killer. It's like Van mural art. Like, it's everything that is awesome about the 70s is like relived. And they have these brilliant inkers. I mean, I can't really show you here to do it justice, but the pen art in here is amazing by this guy Wilson. This guy Wilson is amazing. Also, here's another one of these hilarious maps. They're so cool. Let's see. Let me show you some more of the junk in here. Yeah, see, they just have this nice big pen art. And kind of like Basic Fantasy really calls back to everything that's dope about RPGs from back in the day. But just keeps it real, keeps it contemporary, keeps it fun. And gives you a lot of space to move. There's not a lot of statistics in these books, but just enough. Look at this, you get more killer dungeon maps, you get another world map. I don't know if you guys can see all this detail, but their maps are like murals. Like, they're just amazing. They have all these fun labels, and it just feels like a damn good time. They're kind of in 2D, but also in 3D. This stuff is freaking brilliant. So, I can't recommend this strongly enough. I have their core rule set coming in the mail, and some more modules like this one, so I'll get those up in a video too. But you guys, get Dungeon Crawl Classics. It's its own rule set, but honestly, it's decks and strength and stuff. It's compatible with everything you're doing. And honestly, I think these are some of the best modules and campaign settings that have ever been written. So You know, who is this guy? Michael Curtis is one of the key writers. Actually, the whole thing is by Michael Curtis. So, fucking awesome job, Michael Curtis. Okay, finally, for this episode of Go Do Your Research, here it is. The Adventures in the East Mark, or what in Spain is called Marca del Este. So I got the notion to buy this when I met a guy in Barcelona who was rolling up a character while he worked at the liquor store. True story, I swear. Cool box set. So it comes with some old school PVC plastic dice, which if you guys have played since the late 70s, you remember these. These are funny, man. These are classic D&D dice, really cool. They have a nice Dungeonmaster screen in here if you use Dungeonmaster screens, which as you guys all know, I totally don't believe in using a DM screen. And hey, looky here, I got a East Mark pencil. This is awesome. Attention RPG manufacturing people, give me pencils with your RPG logo on it. Don't be so damn stingy. This book is choice. It is made on the best paper. The art is impeccable. It's amazing, but it's kind of rustic, real simple. And this is basically first edition D&D. So you're gonna find some interesting stuff in here. You're gonna find some stuff that you think is crazy. I'll tell you what, negative armor classes, just get out of town, you guys. I'm sorry. I love the creative spirit behind Marca del Este. It is so unique. It has like sort of a flavor to it. It's a little hard to describe. But if you could bring this flavor into your game, I think you would have a game that would be superior to Garden Variety Dungeons & Dragons. Just because it's a unique tone. You know, it's kind of like if you've ever had a Dungeon Master who can do Ravenloft well and really make that tone come through, I think there could be a tone here. It's like an old world tone. Now, some of this stuff is pure bonkers. Really, the only really bad one is the negative armor classes. I mean, it's like, it's Thaco stuff. It's crazy land. Everything's inverted and it's just like, why? And then there's a lot of tables. So, you know, like the rolls are different for different things and you have to look at the table and do, You gotta look a lot of stuff up in books, but do it before the game session, especially as the Dungeon Master. Do a lot of reading. Read all this crap. Even Legend. Like, get a copy of Legend just to see an example of a game you know, that I would say you might not want to play. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry to give a negative review to a product I'm sure a lot of smart people worked on, but it just didn't come through. Basic Fantasy, Legend, Marca del Este, and my personal, probably all-time favorite, Dungeon Crawl Classics, which they just kill it. So I'm going to get back to my notebook. I am working on a little 4-pillar puzzle here for an encounter. Going to try to figure this out and see if I can put all that new knowledge to use. So I hope you guys gained wisdom from the video. I hope you had a good time with it. Give me that thumbs up down there and, you know, put a comment like RPG books that I should buy and review. Now, here's a quick disclaimer. I'm not putting like a year of gameplay into these games. I'm getting the book. I'm going over it for about 2 weeks. I'm taking some notes in my book and learning some things I don't want to do, and I'm moving on and I put it on my shelf. I know a lot of you guys do that same thing. So if my reviews are unfair to the awesome work of lots of smart people over the years, I'm sorry about that, but this is how I'm reviewing the games. Currently the only games I really know in depth would probably be GURPS, Fantasy Hero, and D&D. As far as really knowing how to run those games. A lot of these other ones, it's just like, wow, this is cool, or no thank you. So that's where I'm at. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Drunken and Dragons. Strength, honor, beer, and lots of reading if you're a Dungeon Master. Peace out. His face spider, he took an ethereal jaunt into my ear.